All right, I'll say, how are you all this evening of your time as you create time to exist? We'll begin this interaction this evening of your time with the following entitlement. Trust, ... what it is and how to use it. We do realize in your society that the recognition and realization that what you believe determines how you create and what is your experiential reality. This is a notion which has become rather accepted and understood more and more as your society does progress in these ideas. One of the issues, shall we say, that comes up from time to time within your society is the idea you label faith, or what we label and call trust. Very often, when your society does hear of the idea of trust, well, now I have to trust, we do get what we have labeled a collective psychic groan from you. Oh, that is a real toughie, you say. Now I have to have faith. Now I must trust. In fact, from our perspective, you always have 100% trust. The issue is not lack of trust per se. It is simply that you have an infinite trust in that which you do not prefer, as opposed to that which you do prefer. So in fact, you are not in any way, shape, or form rusty at trusting. Trust is something you are very good at. 'Tis simply that you have placed, shall we say, a bit more importance from time to time in certain scenarios upon that which you do not prefer, and have placed that trust, which again, you do have 100%, 100% of the time, on that negative scenario that you do not prefer. Therefore, shall we say, beginning place or starting point in our elucidation of the ideas of trust will begin with your inherent trust that you do, in fact, deserve anything you desire. We have reminded you from time to time about the idea when asking members of your society, what do you feel it is that you had to do in order to exist? The answer that we have gotten invariably from members of your society is nothing in particular. Therefore, one can draw from that idea that you did not have to do anything in particular in order to exist. Therefore, all that is, or what you label God, obviously by convention feels you do deserve to exist unconditionally, without conditions, without having to earn it, simply because you say so. Therefore, the idea of deservability is to treat yourself with the same respect that all that is has created you with, unconditional deservability. You do, in fact, because you exist, deserve anything you can desire. You may play out a scenario whereby your desires are kept from you, but it is, in fact, you playing out that scenario, you creating and controlling that scenario. In fact, there is no more weight behind the idea that you do not deserve and that you must earn in order to have that which you desire. Therefore, we realize and have conveyed to you that you do deserve to exist. You do deserve to have anything which you do desire. That issue of trust is simply up to you to take this recognition and do with it what you will. You do inherently deserve to exist, even if you create the scenario where you feel that you do not. All that is loves you so unconditionally that it allows you even to feel undeserving. That is unconditional love. There are no boundaries upon your free will and how to express yourself. Now that you realize there is an alternative to this idea, and you may, in fact, trust or place the trust you already have, that you do not deserve all you desire, and simply make a little shift, a little sidestep toward the idea that now you may, if you wish, trust that you do deserve all that you desire. Therefore, moving from this idea, you have your day-to-day experience. Now that you know that you deserve to exist, and you may trust that you may have all that you desire, simply now act that way. An individual who acts that way would, in any given situation in his life, realize, I do create my own reality. I do trust myself, realizing that I have deservability to create it perfectly. Therefore, anything that presents itself in my life, I must have created. And though, because I am within a reality that explores timing, not knowing something, and taking certain steps and procedures toward knowing it, that idea of before, during, and after, you may realize that you know what you are doing on some level. Therefore, again, just cut yourself, as you say, some slack. And anything which does occur in your life as it is, realize you must know what you are doing. It is part of your creation and not in any way, shape, or form an interruption in it. Therefore, exercising trust when, as you say, a seemingly negative scenario comes along would go something like this. Well, by my old belief systems, this particular set of circumstances would seem negative. However, now I am privy to the fact that I am a perfect creator, and I do deserve that which I do desire. Therefore, this situation in my life must be part of the path. Rather than gleaning what may seem the obvious negativity from it, I now choose to look at why this scenario brings positive effects in my life. What does it now allow me to do? What would a person have to believe in order to create such a scenario that would seem negative? Any situation in your life is simply an opportunity to shift your trust. For nothing is extraneous. By definition, if it exists, then it must not be extraneous. Things don't just slip in there in creation. It is all perfect. It is all part of, again, the path that you are. Therefore, that recognition will help you greatly to glean the reason that any given circumstance has been created by you for. Again, you are perfect creators. And you may realize that the perfection of your creation includes the idea that anything is there. Anything that is there will enable you to further your expansion. It is a part of the path, and again, not an interruption in it. A scenario that we will use to demonstrate this idea is as follows. In your society, if an individual is, as you say, going to catch a train, and they do run up to the platform as the train is pulling away. All situations, all situations are fundamentally neutral, blank, zero, void. You provide the meaning, and the meaning that you provide determines the effect that you get out of it. Therefore, in acting in an older belief pattern, you run up to a train pulling away. A typical scenario we have observed is that one may get very angry. Oh, those bad train people, you may say. They have left much too early. 'Tis not that I was late. I think I shall go and tell those train people how bad they are. And you run into the ticket office and demand a refund and are very upset. very anxious, creating anxiety, and therefore you have taken a fundamentally neutral situation, a train has pulled away, and assigned it a negative meaning. You have gotten a negative effect and created much upset and anxiety in your life. Very good. Now, an alternative using the ideas we have just presented to you would go as follows. You run up or walk up to the platform and the train pulls away. All right, a neutral situation. I have walked up to this platform. This train has pulled away. Therefore, even though on my uppermost portion of my consciousness I feel I had to have catch that train, I realize now, because I didn't catch the train, obviously, there is some reason that I do not need to catch the train, and remain very calm, as you do, now that you are not blinded by your rage, blinded by giving away your power to an externalized circumstance. The next train is pulling up to the platform, and off walks, let's say, an individual that you have not seen for 10 years. Therefore, because you remain calm and did not go storming away, you allowed yourself to glean from a neutral situation a positive effect. Stuff of fairy tales. Oh, grow up, BASHAR, you may say. Very good. You can look at it that way. And in fact, in your society, we have noticed the penchant for in a story when there is struggle and strife. Oh, that is a very realistic story. But when in fact they live happily ever after, oh, what a fairy tale. That is just a definition. Living happily ever after can be the reality, just as much so as the struggle and striving. It is all a matter of shifting viewpoint. It is all a matter of realizing you already have faith. You already have trust. What do you deserve? If you do deserve all that you can imagine, all that you can desire, all that does excite you, then you will have trust in that scenario, in any given situation. Therefore, again, trust is simply a matter of viewpoint, of focus, of realizing that everything is perfect. If you are to look at any seeming negative situation within your life, that while it is occurring, you cannot imagine why this is happening to poor old little me. Invariably, every time, down the line, as you say, when timing does play out, there, again, invariably is the scenario that an opportunity does unfold far better than that of the original opportunity that you missed, quote, missed, unquote, that would not have occurred if it was not for that idea. Therefore, it is not very foreign idea to you that anything that happens, in a sense, as you have said in your society, happens for the better. That is all it really does boil down to. How you choose to label any given neutral situation determines your actions. As we have said, what actually physically creates your reality is your actions. You are in a physical world. You are experiencing physicality. Therefore, physical action is what moves the mechanism along within these parameters that you have created for yourself. Therefore, when we say attitude is everything, we simply mean that it is because it determines your actions. In scenario A, the actions, because of negative trust, had an individual running from the train all upset. In scenario B, same situation, allowed an individual to not only not create that upset, but then visit with a long-lost friend. Again, this is simply an analogy. Does not have to be that you take it that literally. But the idea is quite valid and quite demonstrable, as you say, in your reality. Therefore, when any given situation comes along, Simply allow yourself to be reminded that it is neutral. If you do not go into what you have created due to the way you have been brought up with the beliefs in your society, yourself to go into an automatic, frenzied mode and simply realize one moment, everything is neutral, even this. What is this allowing me to do? What is positive about this scenario? It is quite obvious what is negative. Therefore, let's do a little bit of exploring. If you do not just take things at, as you say, face value, if you do not let your intentions be so rigid that anything that you create must occur in a certain way, at a certain timing, then you will allow yourself to release the strong grip that you are holding that is preventing you from manifesting the reality you desire. For, as we have also said, when you hold your hands open, when you remain receptive, then you may hold the water in your hands. But you cannot hold, you cannot catch, you cannot maintain water in your hand with closed fists. You must lighten up, relax your grip a bit. Allow yourself to be an open vessel. Allow your circumstance to show you where you are. Allow conscious recognition of synchronicity. Synchronicity simply being that there are no accidents. Everything is part of the path that you are, and not an interruption in it. When you perceive a block in your path, a hurdle, as you say, may just be that the straightest way to get where you want to go is to take a slight left and then a slight right. Because you perceive you must walk straight on the road. Very often you are rigidizing the road. Maybe that there are a few detours, but those detours do not have to seem like blocks. For, again, invariably, they do contain surprises, discoveries, as you say, fringe benefits, perks. These things are generally present anytime something that comes along in your society, in your experience, is not expected. When a non-expected situation comes along, you do not have to, as you have, go into upset. In our society, we have a saying, so to speak. For at this time we have no language, but this is the sentiment behind this idea, bringing it down colloquially into your language. One individual walks up to another individual, and they say, how are things going? And that individual says to them, not as I expected. Our response is invariably, congratulations. This too can be your attitude. This does allow that individual to then move on and glean why a situation was created. There are, again, no extraneous creations. If you simply break down the idea of the word extraneous, if something is there, it cannot be extraneous. By definition, it is there. It exists. Therefore, anything in your life is not extraneous. Maybe that it gives you the opportunity to examine how you feel in terms of your preference. But you do not then need to create upset around the circumstance. We have labeled that in our perspective, from our viewpoint, there is no such thing as the idea of a problem. When individuals in your society and interacting with us do say they have a problem, we do substitute the idea that there is no problems. Simply situations that you have not allowed to transform. When you do create upset when coming up against a particular unexpected reality, that creation is 100% within your grasp. And at any given moment, by simply realizing this as anything is fundamentally neutral. What type of effect would I now like from this situation? Not a problem that I have not allowed to transform. If I would like a negative effect, then I can get very upset and create that. However, we have noticed a propensity toward desiring positive effects in your reality. Therefore, again, a simple shift, a slight, minuscule shift in point of view will yield a grand sweeping change in your experiential reality. Therefore, again, trust. You have plenty of it. Simply realize that any idea is equal to any other idea. And therefore, you can choose anything you want. It is up to you. In appreciation for your willingness to participate in this interaction with us at this time and on, as you say, an ongoing basis. And also an appreciation for you acting as, for in a very real sense, you are ambassadors, diplomats from your planet, allowing us to be ambassadors, diplomats from our respective worlds. I do ask you now, how may I be of service to you? Sharing